Good afternoon, I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Media News, the headlines. Defense Minister cautions citizens against fraudsters ahead of the recruitment exercise. The death toll in the Great East Road accident raises to 12. Join me with the details after this commercial.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
On Monday, 26th September 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, the FDD President, Madam Edith Nawakwit, as they discuss the food security in Zambia.
We need to get our people as leaders from position of expecting that we will give them cash, because the money, the kwacha itself has no value. 500 kwacha. How many US dollars is it? It's nothing. What can someone buy in 500 kwacha? A bag of meal is 190, 170.
Invite others to participate through phoning, on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages.
On DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
And now the media news in detail. The ban alcohol activist Dr. Brian Sampa has charged that most non-governmental organizations have been failing to speak out on homosexuality because most of them benefit from fundings that come from countries that are propelling the agenda.
In recent years, many developing countries have come under pressure from sections of the Western world to embrace the LGBTQI community and homosexuality in general in exchange for financial help. Those countries with financial muscle use it to lure developing countries through hefty donations. However, in Zambia, homosexuality is not only illegal but goes against the country's culture and values as a Christian nation. Amid mounting political pressure from government critics, President Hakainde Hichilema and his administration have maintained that Zambia does not subscribe to the agenda. On Sunday, during a luncheon for old people in Lusaka, organized by the Zambia Community Development Initiative Program, senior citizens have condemned the increasing cases of sodomy and purportedly emergence of same-sex relationships in the country, calling on parents to monitor their children.
So if makolo ni famela ifetima ononga timalekelela vana sitivapunzisa manyumba yaye tizivapunzisa kuti valeke voenda naba na mwamuna mzake na mwamuna mzake na mzake kulibe ayo ni maloza ni kuononga ziko.
Meanwhile, Zambia Community Development Initiative Program brand ambassador Joseph Shambosha shared his views.
I don't see it right. This is really shameful to see a man getting married to a fellow man, or a woman get married to a fellow woman. This is a taboo. I'm telling you the fact. And it's also against our culture.
Others say same-sex marriages must not be allowed to prevail in Zambia.
Even in the Bible it's written, God created Adam and Eve. That's why God created two people, and that's what it's supposed to be. If this thing is coming from the Western culture, I think they should stay with it. Us in Zambia, we are not in support of it. We are not. We are saying no to homosexual, we are saying no to lesbian.
Mulungu pachiyambi pamene anayamba anapanga Adamu na Eva so iseta abantu stinga vichinje ndipo sibinga chitike mwamuna na mkazi bakwenera kuti mwamuna na mkazi akwenera okwatira mkazi note akazi beka okwatirana tikalibe ochiwonapo ero sibinga chitike.
Meanwhile, former Resident Doctors Association of Zambia President Dr. Brian Sampa, who was among the speakers at the event, observed that civil society organizations have been mute on various issues pertaining to sodomy and homosexuality-related issues because they receive funding from countries that endorse same-sex marriages.
Most organizations in our country, if not all, are funded by the same people who perpetrate homosexuality. So they can't speak out. They are so quiet because you can't bite the finger that feeds you. However, that is not a problem to us because our aim is not to gain money out of this. For us, we want to preserve the future of our country. So money comes secondary. Our primary goal is just to help our country to remain a Christian nation, to also develop the people's understanding, both scientifically, that this vice is not approved, spiritually, that it's an abomination and it's a sin, and legally, that it is an illegal act which is criminal.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
In other news, the number of people who died in the Great East Road traffic accident has risen to 12 as another person who was at the intensive care unit ICU at Levi Mwanawasa Hospital has been confirmed dead. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament Mike Mposha says government will incur the funeral and burial expenses and hopes to have a mass burial on Tuesday after consulting with the bereaved families.
The death toll of the road traffic accident that occurred in the wee hours of yesterday on the Great East Road, Unze Junction, has increased from 11 to 12. The scenes of yesterday are hard to understand and left everyone in utter shock and fear. According to the initial police report, a Zambian National Service officer who was driving a truck carrying an excavator died on the spot. From the Toyota Hiace minibus, 9 passengers sustained fatal injuries, while 5 passengers sustained serious injuries and are all admitted at Levi Mwanawasa Hospital. The driver of the minibus was among the dead, comprising of 7 males and 4 females. Another vehicle involved was a Toyota Corolla. The driver escaped unhurt. The 8 bodies of the deceased were deposited in the University Teaching Hospital's mortuary, while the 3 are at Levi Mwanawasa Hospital mortuary. So far, 6 out of the 11 deceased persons from the accident have been identified. Munali Member of Parliament Mike Mposha, earlier Councillor Lubasimi Lupi, and Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit Coordinator Dr. Gabriel Pollen and his team visited the affected bereaved families to provide food supplies. They visited the funeral house of Musa Mwanza in Kaunda Square Stage 2, who was 33 years old and has left behind a pregnant wife and 3 children. They proceeded to Kaunda Square Stage 1 and visited the funeral house of the now deceased Stephen Kazila, who was in his 20s and left behind a baby boy. They also visited the house of Nancy Piri, who died at the age of 45 and has left behind a child. The family has plentifully appreciated government's gesture. The team also visited the funeral house of Sunday Chileshe, who died at the age of 29 and was a driver of the Toyota Hiace minibus. Mr. Mposha hopes that the bereaved families will agree to have a mass burial.
Through the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, the government has provided some foodstuffs to support the bereaved families as they mourn their beloved ones. So in this support, we have bags of mealie meal. So for each family, they have been given 10 bags of 25 kg each. And 20 kgs of rice, and as well as beans, 50 kg of beans.
He has further indicated that his office will work with other government departments to curb the increase in road traffic accidents.
You are aware that not too long ago, the Vice President, as acting President, because the President was out of the country, she was in Northern Province to bury more than 20 people who died again in a road accident.
He has also confirmed that the death toll of the road carnage has increased to 12 in total.
Late afternoon, around 16:30, one of the persons who was in the ICU eventually, gave up and died and that brings the number to 12. So
he has been in touch with the hospital authorities to check on the status of the other victims.
They are stable, but still in a critical condition. Most of them with multiple fractures. Yesterday, by the time we were at the hospital, we had 2 in the resuscitation ward. Then we had 2 who were still in the theater, and we had 3 who were in the ICU. Unfortunately, one of the 3 who were in the ICU is the one who died after 16 hours yesterday.
A visit at the accident site found relatives of one of the dead accident victims searching for her phone as it kept ringing and went unanswered.
This is the exact spot where the road carnage happened yesterday. This spot has been said to be a danger zone, for many road accidents have been recorded right here on this very spot. One concerned citizen has asked, how about starting with the van cargoes that have been converted into buses? Why don't we change that illegality? And then he has also cited bus drivers and conductors who are abusing alcohol when they are on duty. He has also asked, why don't we have a permanent presence of the police and rapid patrols? He has also alluded to the fact that speed cameras have to be installed on this very stretch of the road. We hope that this road carnage will never repeat itself again. Tito Kalama, Camnet News.
The media network on child rights and development has condemned the trend of abusing children by sending them to beg on the streets. Organization coordinator Henry Kawe says children, regardless of their circumstances, need to be protected and not abused by being used as a source of income.
Child labor is often defined as work that deprives children of their childhood, their potential and their dignity, and that is harmful to their physical and mental development. In Zambia, however, child labor in form of parents spending long hours on the road asking for alms while using their children is happening at the watch of many stakeholders, and no one seems to be noticing. Media Network on Child Rights and Development Coordinator Henry Kawe, however, says it is an offense for a parent to beg on the street using the innocent children on their backs, or in most cases spend over 8 hours on the road with children being subjected to anger.
Observed with concern in a number of women that are begging on the street or carrying children on their backs, and also a number of children that are patronizing wrong places. And I was recently in Chipata where I saw a 13-year-old, between 13 to 15-year-old girl who was literally drunk, and struggling. So there's lawlessness within our society, and we need to ensure that we stop this kind of lawlessness. It's illegal for these women to be begging with their children on their backs, and also, seeing these children asking for alms and selling around because it is depriving them of their education.
Meanwhile, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga tells this reporter that there are laws that protect children from being used as bait for alms, and says the law needs to be enforced so that children can be protected from such abuses by their guardians.
Children, the Ministry of Community Development did actually conduct an operation, I think last week. We did give them support through our Child Protection Unit as police officers to help them carry out that mandate. Again, also should understand that when you are handling juveniles, there's a way that juveniles are supposed to be handled. They're not supposed to be handled like the way we handle adults. So it has to be done cautiously, and you have to put contingencies in place. When you get those children from the street, where do you take them?
While poverty in most cases has been attributed as the reason why there has been an increase in child labor, the Zambian government has a responsibility to ensure children are protected from being abused by either supporting their guardians with the right capital or arresting those who are responsible for abusing children, as this will serve as a deterrent to would-be offenders. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Defense Minister has advised would-be applicants for jobs in the military not to be hoodwinked into paying bribes in order to be employed. The minister has observed that fraudsters have already started to solicit for money from unsuspecting members of the general public, a move he said is detrimental and will not be condoned.
Zambia is confronted with high unemployment levels, and as of 2019, labor force employment was 2.9 million, while Zambia's population is at 18 million, meaning many people are in the informal sector or doing nothing at all. During the census of population, recruitment of enumerators and supervisors, the country witnessed the desperation for jobs among young people. With desperation for employment, Zambians have been prone to scams where they end up paying people huge sums of money, claiming to have connections to help them secure a job. And for most of them, it has ended in tears. And the defense wing will be recruiting 5,000 officers in the Zambia Air Force, Zambia Army, and the Zambia National Service. Defense Minister Ambrose Rufuma has advised people to be wary of fraudsters ahead of the recruitment in October next month. And he has cautioned those who wish to take advantage of the process that the law will catch up with them.
Who would like to make a quick buck. I've seen on social media, for example, adverts asking for a deposit of 200, 300 kwacha. That we do not do as a government. We will simply advertise and we will go out into the provinces, ensure that the grassroots, the districts are involved. So we'll get people from the districts coming to the province, and then at the provincial level we'll be able to select. Whoever is selected will be able to come for training in Kava. So that is the process we're undertaking, and do not fall prey to fraudsters. Whoever is perpetrating these unholy activities will catch up with them and deal with them as the law demands.
The minister also gave an update on officers who were fired in national interest.
The majority of the people, I think, applied for reinstatement with the Cabinet Office. And I think Cabinet Office has been able to come through and announce the people who have been reinstated, who qualified to be reinstated. As for the army, we had Defense Force. We had a few who directly applied to the Defense Force for this consideration. We constituted a small committee that looked at the merits and demerits of their dismissal or resignation in national interest. And depending on the merits, some have been reinstated. The process has been complete, and all we are waiting is essentially just for the approval process to take effect.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
That news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Media News, but before we go here, the headlines once again. Defense Minister cautions citizens against fraudster ahead of the recruitment exercise. The death toll in the Great East Road accident raises to 12. Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakadeji. Good afternoon.